Right, so let's do. Okay, we're going to start some basic discussions about the SOC operation. Okay, so the Security Operations Center, correct? Now, as we know, like in the cyber security, SOC is one of the domain which plays major role in the industry, which is responsible for monitoring all the assets 365 days, 24 by 7. There is an active team will be there. If any incident happens, immediately they're going to detect and going to respond to those incidents, correct?
Correct.
Yes, sir. Now, so those how the SOC operations works. But the most important thing is that when I talk about it, what is cybersecurity? When we talk about as we can know that the cybersecurity is a process, is a technology, is a method of protecting an IT assets. So that can be a computers, that can be a servers, that can be a network, that can be an application, that can be any digital asset that connect to the corporate network, right? So we need to find out the vulnerabilities. We need to secure them. We need to do the patch management. We have to monitor these assets. What type of activities happen? We have to create the different policies that make sure that that should be minimize the risk factor. The policies are creating that is as a based on internal policies, external policies. So those policies are designed within all the best standards that make sure that the security is the most important part. Correct? Yes or no, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
So when we're talking about it, we have, let's say that an example here, we can see that the cybersecurity is a technique of protecting the computers, networks, programs, data from unauthorized access or attack. The aim for the exploitation. Example, Flipkart contain the database for the customers' information, right? It's contain the customers' information. So what happens if any data breach or there any vulnerabilities are there? So attackers may discover and can steal all these data, right? So with that, Flipkart is going to be face different type of impact in the cyber security, correct? Because that the attack will make an impact with the financial losses. It also make it as a reputation losses. It also make it that as like regularities losses that might be a possibilities are there. Also, it can be an operational losses. So attack will have a different type of impact. So either it may affect on the customer's information that might lead to the different law protections will be happens, or it can be lead to the financial losses to the company. So there are the different areas where the cyber attack may impact the organization's business. So for that purpose, we have the several domains. So the domain something like that, we have the vulnerability assessment, we have like penetration testing team, we have like threat hunting, we have a team like we call as a SOC operations. We have a team like will monitor all the activities what happens to this asset. So based on that, the cybersecurity process is designed. The process are very important. Like whenever we talk about how we're going to protect any organization. So any organizations from the different type of attack if it is happen, the securities have a different parameters based on that where the team are going to be work. So the same way we're going to see about the SOC operation. What exactly the SOC? What is SOC? Can you give me some idea about that? You know, what is SOC? SOC is Security Operations Center, as we can see that. SOC is a dedicated site where enterprise information systems like website, applications, database, data centers, servers, network, desktops, or it can be other endpoints that are monitor asset independent. So SOC operations are working on dedicated sites where they monitor all the IT assets. Now, these IT assets have some of the more standard, but sometimes it varies organization to organization. What type of business they have. Based on that, these assets will be there. So, if we'll see that what exactly the SOC operations will do it. So, we see that the SOC operations monitor all type of activities here if it is any type of the threat if it is happening. So that will be considered as 1 minute. Oh, it's loaded here. Okay. So here we can see that the SOC monitor the sign of cyber attack, such as unusual login, strange pattern in the network traffic, or anything seem out of the ordinary here. So these organizations asset, which we are talking about it. So once we spot a threat, then we jump into the actions, we investigate, and we stop doing these bad activities. Because the SOC operations are there to monitor all type of cyber attack. That can be any type of activities we can select. So we have a different type of asset list here. So these asset lists can be considered as the endpoints, network devices, servers, applications, database, cloud services, regularities, IAM. There are many things out there, right? So over the endpoints, we know very well. This is all nothing but the workstations that can be a desktops, laptops, smart mobiles, or it can be an IoT
An
devices.
IoT device.
This is all can be considered as endpoints. Then we have a different network devices. The network devices can be the routers, switches, firewall, load balancers, and so on. So servers, applications, database, all these need to be get protected. So the SOC team are going to collect the different type of data from this. So that's nothing but the events and logs. That's are coming to the SIEM tool here. SIEM is one of the tool. We'll discuss more detail about. So when we have this asset, now, do you think like these asset have the criticalities level are equal? Yes, guys. If do you think like the criticality level of these assets are similar, are same?
No, the difference.
It all depends upon the type of operations we carry on that, right? So the
Yes.
every asset have a different value that is depends upon what type of information is contained, what type of operations we are carrying, and what business effect will happen if any attack happens to those assets. So we have the asset criticalities level. The criticality levels is completely defined based on the risk assessment. The risk assessment will decide about which have the more value, which have the less value assets, and so on. So based on that, all these incidents, what do you mean by the incident, by the way? Before I go ahead further, what does it mean by the incident?
Any attack happen, that means incident.
Okay.
Any unauthorized login.
Mhm. Perfect. Any unauthorized login is also been considered as an
Yeah.
incident. Any cyber attack happen, it is also is considered as an incident. Incident can be in a different way. The incident is going to be
Unusual
happen.
activities, sir.
Yes, unusual login activities or any kind of attempt that will be considered as incident. Incident is nothing but certain level of risk which is going to be get intercept or intercepted. That is maybe a chances here. That is we call it an incident. So whenever any incident happens, the incident have the different type of severity levels. That's the most important one. The severity levels are nothing but on what level we need to respond to those incidents. It can be the critical, high, medium, low, all it depends upon the asset list what we have. So based on these asset lists, the different criticalities levels is defined. So based on that, if any incident happens to these assets, it will be considered as critical, high, medium, and low. So this is how it will be. So in a very simple way, let me tell you one example, guys. Whenever we have any type of the asset, which if anything happens to that asset or that like you know particular a digital asset or it can be a physical asset. If anything attempt is happens to that, and if an unauthorized person access that, there will be a huge financial loss. So that will be given as a more priority. We have another asset which have the less importance because if the attack happens, that much loss not happens, right? So all this depends upon the damages which may occur after getting an incident. So these incident, how to handle it. So that is defined based on the severity levels. Okay. So we'll see some more detail about it. Let's have a look on this. If I'll say you that the SOC operation is a dedicated site where enterprise information systems like website applications, database, data centers, servers, network, desktops, or it can be other endpoints are monitored, assets, and defended by the SOC team. SOC operations works in the live environment. The team will need to have to carry out the mission that will have to react to the incident. So SOC operations always works in a live environment, and the team will be there to carry out action plan whenever any incident happens. And here we can see that this is the phase where the SOC operation, like when I talk about it, has then the opportunity to show the value that provide to the business. When an incident arises, a ticket will be get open and the case will be get investigated. So the SOC has an opportunity to provide, like opportunity to show the value that provide to the business. It means like many of the businesses compromise, because of the cyber attack. It means like the many businesses may get completely down because of the cyber attack if it is happening. So that need to be get secured, right? So the SOC team are there, which always monitor any type of attack happens. So these are the way where the SOC can save those businesses. That is what I'm trying to say. The many part of the team will be involved, maybe some external to the SOC team that is a part of the same organization, or even a third party actor, we can see that, will be concerned depending upon the nature, extent, and the severity of this incident. Means like there are the several team may involve. It depends upon how the cyber attack it will be. So if it is a more critical, then the more team will get involved, right? Less critical, less team will get involved. So that is called as the escalation matrix. Okay. Escalation matrix, it depends upon which is already defined. What level of team will be getting involved if this incident happens. So that's the reason where we have the degree level where we define what is the severity level of those. Got it? So if it is a high critical incident are there, so there will be all the SMEs will be involved. Even in some cases, the client, the customer need to also be get involved in order to check what is things happen. Are you getting my point, everybody?
Yep.
So here we see that there are the many part of the team will be involved with depending upon the type of severities or whenever it is happens to you. So what level of escalation matrix should be required, leading to be possible to involve the CSIRT time. We call it the cyber security incident response team. Okay. Could be put into the team place and team must be collaborate, leverage all the available tools and technology until unless the ticket it get closed. So with the help of this, what we have understood that we got to know that there are the asset lists are there. These assets have a different type of criticalities. So in a very simple way, assets have a different type of value. High value, medium value, low value, we consider. That will be considered as a criticality level. Now, how we got to know the high value asset is this, medium value asset is this, low value asset is this, based on the risk assessment. Based on the risk assessment, we got to know that if that incident happens, what type of impact is going to be happen, what type of losses the organizations are going to be get bear. Based on that, the they got to know the criticality levels. So based on that, they have defined about the severity level that can be considered critical, high, medium, low. So whatever way we have in the incident, that need to be taken care of. So this is how it will be there. Okay. So there are many team will be get involved in order to handle the incident, and based on that, the ticket will be get closed. Is there any doubt? Anyone? Still here? If you have any doubt, please let me answer that first. Dayas, Arfat,
No, sir, clear.
No, it's good, brother.
Sorry for interrupting. So SOC is nothing but prioritize the risk level of case, right?
sorry?
So SOC, like it's only prioritize the level of risk of the case, like high risk, low risk, middle risk.
Yeah, but see, I'll tell you. SOC is not only just make sure that it is priority for these incidents, but also they monitor, they defended that if any incident happen, they find out the root cause and they also do the mitigation step for that. The response to the incident as well, right?
Oh, okay. So they monitor every action of the business.
Yes, all the activities we as a SOC analyst are going to monitor, as well as we're
Mm-hmm.
going to take an action whenever any incident arises. Got it?
Okay. Okay, got it.
Got it.
Yeah. Now we have something called the SIM. What is SIM? So SIM is a tool technology. Like we call that is as a security information event management. So when we talk about the SIEM, is a tool technology that supports the threat detections and historical analysis of a security event. So real-time collections of event from various data log sources. Now, if I say that whenever we are talking about the SIEM tool is nothing but is a threat detection tool which is designed in order to collect the events from the multiple sources and based on the rules whatever we have defined if anything is going malicious it should give us an alert. So these alerts which already defined as the criticality levels in this SIM tool, so based on that it will give us the critical high medium or low alerts. Got it? So what we got to know that the SIM is a threat detection tool, a threat detection tool which is been using in order to detect the threat and give us. And also it stored the events for there are the certain storage time will be there. So that is also used for the historical analysis of security event. And also we correlate different events coming from multiple sources. So the same system is approached to get a centralized view of the informations coming out from multiple defense mechanism system, in user device, applications, servers of the organization in the most understandable and standard format. So it means like we are collecting the data from multiple log sources and that data is coming to the SIM tool. The SIM is making those data all are the stand, understandable and standard format here. Now, what does it mean by that? It means like if we see the asset list, as we can see, we have these multiple asset list. So when we have this multiple asset list, do you think like when these assets are generating the log, are they generate the logs in the same format?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
I,
all the
I
What is the
logs are.
question?
I'll repeat my question. If the logs are generating from this multiple asset, are the logs are the same format, logs or even?
Don't think so. No.
So no, the log format is different. All the logs are different. Endpoint logs, network logs are different. So we need to manage the logs with the SIEM systems as our requirements.
Yes. So what I want you to
Uh,
explain you that here, whenever we
Bro,
are
what is the meaning of law? Sorry
sorry,
for interrupting. What is the meaning of law?
logs and events are nothing but whatever the activities happens on a particular systems, right? If you can see that this is my Windows machine, right? This is the Windows machine. If I'll go here to the Windows event viewer, here I can be able to see the Windows log, correct? Is that?
Oh, okay, okay, Windows law. Okay.
Yeah. So when I click on this log, so it
Mm-hmm.
shows whatever it is happens to the applications. So whatever my
Mm-hmm.
Windows applications are there, that information I can be able to see. Here I can be able to see the information regarding the security for my Windows machine. The same thing, all this about the setup systems and all. So this is nothing but what logs are nothing but you can consider that something occurrence on the system that will be get recorded in the form of textual form. Okay. And these logs have a different format and these data will send it to the SIEM tool. So when we are generating the logs, there are not only just the Windows machine, there will be a multiple assets. From these assets, we are collecting these logs in the form of event and logs, and that is sending to the SIEM tool. Okay. Now SIEM collect the data here and give us an alert if any malicious activities happen. So if any malicious or suspicious activities happen, SIEM will give an alert. Now the question come here, how does the SIEM is going to know that is there malicious activities or suspicious activities? For these conditions, I need to generate an alert. So this happens based on the rules here. The correlation rule is an example that can be any rule. It can be the event rule, it can be custom rule, it can be the inbuilt rule, or it can be considered as correlations. The rules are nothing but a set of conditions that define the risk factor which is happens. Let me give you an example. Guys, if I ask you brute force attack, what do you mean by the brute force attack?
Someone tried to attack by past credentials.
Somebody is trying to attack on a particular machine to know the credentials or to get an unauthorized access, right? Multiple username
Yes.
and password. So the multiple username and password will be created. Now, this type of attack we need to detect here in the simple. So how we going to write these conditions here? Now we are putting some condition here. What is that condition? See, if we'll receive 5 events, login failure from same source. Let's take example. I'm giving you a very rough condition to get you understand. We receive 5 login events from the same source within 2 minutes. Then generate an alert. So these alert can be considered as brute force attack, right? Are you
Yes.
getting the point? Now,
Yes. Yes.
in order to attempt this, in order to detect this type of attack, it happens with single event or it happens with multiple events. What do you think? It happens with
Multiple.
multiple events because conditions is already says that are 5 events, right? Now this is comes with the multiple events. Multiple events when get involved, that is called as correlations rule. What we call correlations rules. Means like one event should get matches with the another event, correct? If that conditions are matching, what conditions matching? Login failure is happening with the certain events from the same sources, right? Something like that. So if these conditions matches means like they're comparing this event and they're correlating those events, right? The activities are similar to correlating. So 5 times the same type of event happens. So that's the reason the correlations rules are there. Now, these correlations rules will give us and conditions. This is called as a condition. Based on that, only the threat is detecting or alert is getting generated, right? So I can say that these multiple rules, whatever I have it, that is nothing but this is one. So is that clear here? So we have designed correlations rule. That correlations rule says that 5 login failure within the within 2 minutes from the same source that will be considered. So can I say that correlations rule is nothing but set of, in a very simple way, conditions to get alert, right? To detect a malicious activity. Correct, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes.
It's a set of conditions here. These set of conditions, if matches, is going to give us an alert, and based on that, where we're going to take an actions here. So multiple event login failure if it is happened and so on. So when we are talking about it here, the same will detect the threat. It depends upon the what type of information, what type of rules we have given here. And it is collect the data from multiple sources, right? So multiple sources when it is collecting the data, it will give us the possibilities to get understand in a more easy way. So it is the most understandable and standard format. So whatever the log comes, either from the Linux, either from the Windows, either from Mac, either from firewall, either from the routers, either from applications, whatever it may be, either also from the cloud services, or it can be also from the IoT devices. So once the data comes to the SIM, which is not really easy to read it. So SIM applies certain process called as a normalization. So with the help of that, we can understand what type of activities happens to this asset. So it makes it most understandable and readable format. Got it? That's how the event is. But the SIM tool would serve for the multiple purpose like auditing, reporting, log rotations, incident response. And the most important thing is that real-time monitoring, which provide a capability to get an alert at the initial stage of cyber attack. So it means like it used for the multiple purpose auditing. Now, what do you mean by the auditing, guys? What is auditing?
Scout and research.
Mhm. Yes, please.
So
What is
compliance the
auditing?
rule. So
Mm-hmm.
compliance the rules and regulation is
Mm-hmm.
properly.
Yes.
Audit means that to make sure everything is compliant based
Mm-hmm.
on the rules and policy and regulations.
Exactly. Exactly. So yes. See, in a very simple way, focus on evaluations, right? So IT audit, whenever it is happens, they are into the process of examinations, evaluating of an organization, IT infrastructures. Like as we can see that systems, computers, networks, servers, right, database, user accounts, and so on. So what are the policies, operations to ensure they meet with the security compliance, right? Whatever the efficiency, risk management standards are there, all those together, right? So that is called as auditing. So the SIM tools can also be used for the auditing, reporting, as we can do the reporting systems, right? We create different type of reports and so on. Log retention, storing of the data. Incident response, if any incident happens, we need to respond. As well as whether to monitor all these assets in the real time. That is how it's going. So it is give us the capability to get alert whenever any suspicious or malicious activities happens at the initial stage. So it means like the SIM tool is responsible for giving us the information what we want to see it, and it will give it most readable and should be properly manage all those assets and secure. That's how the SIM has been developed here. You got my point, everybody? Is that so clear?
Yes.
Now, if we'll talk about it, like how the corporate will choose a SIM tool here, right? So whenever we consider that whenever a SIM tool has been chosen, like it can be IBM QRadar, it can be the Splunk, it can be the Rapid7, it can be the logarithms, it can be Palo Alto, it can be XDR, EDR, like that might be anything, right? So there are the several tools are there. So that how does the SIM will choose a particular tool here? Any idea? How the company will choose the particular SIM tool, right? That is very important. There are the multiple SIM tools are there, right? It's hundreds of SIM tools might be there, correct?
Yes.
Right? So
Done.
there are the several parameters are there when it is taken. Whenever we talk about the threat detections capability of a SIM tool, right? So it all depends upon the asset type, what are the asset types are there, what are the threat intelligences are been integrated with this SIM tool, are they been supported with different type of framework, like it can be a MITRE framework, threat feeds. There are many things are there. Even they also check based on the user behavior analytics here. So what are the user behavior analytics are there, like how they can how the SIM tools can be able to detect inside a threat that are compromised with the account or something like that. They also check the regularity compliance support is there with the SIM or not. What are the scalabilities, performance, integrations, what type of management, and also it all depends upon the cost. That is also the budget. Budget is also very important, right? So budget is means like licensing. how the licensing model will be there for the SIM tool. Based on the GBs or based on the devices or based on the subscriptions plan. So what is the total cost of these SIM tools that include all deployment, maintenance, staffing, different type of SIM accounts will be there for the team to monitor, right? That is how it will be there. They're going to say about the vendor reputations and support, how the vendors are there, what type of the vendor companies are been giving an access, what are the quality of customer support will be there, what are the SLAs are there, because if any critical for an incident resolutions are required, there should be required and support from the same team, right? Yes or no? Everyone.
Yes. Yes.
So how those support can be there on immediate basis? At the standard clients we have it. Let's take an example. If you're providing a security to IBM, let's say that to the top, one of the top MNC, like let's take an example, Amazon. Okay, you got in project with a lot of efforts, hard work. We got in project from Amazon, and for 3-year contracts we have signed for take care of the security, for the particular asset. But when we deploy the SIM, the SIM vendor is not giving us support. So that's not right, right? We require in a standard team and standard support, correct? So we always go for some popular SIM tools in that case. Like Splunk, we can see that example like Splunk, Microsoft Sentinel, IBM QRadar, Logarithm, like this. Those are the standard SIM tools are there, which is mostly used by the organization. Got it my point, everybody? Is that so clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So there are the several factors are there, brother. When we are doing the deployment for this SIM tool, it's all depends upon the many areas factors. As we have seen that it is depends upon the detections, accuracy. What is the SIM accuracy of detection, the threat? That is also very important. What type of troubleshootings we can perform on the SIM tools, how the support will get from the SIM vendors, how this asset list will be there, what would be the ROI? Like you know ROI is also important for the costing purpose. So what SIM tools, what budget you are maintaining in. Like you have to go with the client, you have to make it the client possibilities with the different type of approach, right? Might may have the client different type of mindset before they onboarded. So we may go with the 2 or 3 solutions. For this budget, this SIM tool can be used. For this budget, this SIM tool can be used. And for this budget, we have a this SIM tool to use. And they also should have a differentiations. We can see what are the benefits and what are the advantages and disadvantages can be there if any vendor other we can use it. So which is the best according to that the approach will be there with the client. You got my point, everybody?
Yeah, so it means that without SIEM, there's no any other way to detect or find where the attacks comes from.
Sorry?
So there's no any other way in it except the SIEM. So every like each organization they have to, it's a must to use any types of SIEM tools.
Yes, but when I'll say that it's not only the SIM, the way where we have to detect a threat. Threat can be detected by any systems, right? It can be the antivirus, it can be the EDRs, it can be the firewalls and so on, right? They can be detect those threat and all. But monitoring systems, getting an alerting system 24 by 7, as we collect the data from those systems, and if anything is happens, that reporting system that happens with the SOC operations only, right? The SOC gives us the ability to monitor live process, correct?
Yes.
That's how it works. So that is a very important part, when we are discussing about it. So the deployment, as we can see that it is all depends upon the asset types, how it's get deployed, what are the things it happens to. Now, if I'll say that it's a set of technology for collecting the data, log data collections, correlations, aggregations, normalizations, retention, and analysis and work. Now, when I say that the log data collections, as we can see that it all depends upon the asset what we are providing the security for them. So it can be from the cloud-based computers, or it can be the on-premises computers. It can be the different network devices in different security devices in different databases, and so on. So we're going to collect the data from these multiple sources. These multiple sources are there for, like, receive. We are going to receive the data from that. Now, this might be a question. If you ask me the question, how does the data come to the SIEM, right? As we know, the SIEM is the software. Like it can be a Splunk, or it can be the IBM Curator, it can be the logarithms, or it can be considered as Rapid7 and so on. So when we have the SIEM as a tool, so how does that we collect the data from the multiple sources? That might be a question for us, correct?
Yes.
Now, guys, for that we have a certain type of agent based on the SIEM tool. Like, that agents need to be installed in a particular endpoint in order to collect the data. Got my point? So if we are collecting the data from Windows machines, Linux machines, Mac machines, so there is some softwares are there which need to be get installed. That how the deployment can be done through which we collect the data. As well as if you ask me a question, okay, that's fine, I'm agreed. Like we can install the .exe file or like .dav files on the computers, or it can be the Mac or Linux based computer. How about network? How about the router? How about collecting the data from firewalls, right? How we can collect the data from the printer? How we can install? There's no option of installing an agent, right? Am I correct or no?
Yes, you're correct. The agent will collect everything from the different system like endpoint, firewall.
No, no. See, the agent will install in the Windows machines, right? But what about if I'm collecting the data from firewall? Is that can be able to install the agent into the firewall? No. Can we
Mm,
install the agent to the printer? Is that possibilities are there?
No.
No, right?
No.
So there is an option called as a call forward, log forwarding. All right. So there will be a log forwarding options are there which we collect the data to the central server. We have the forward IP addresses. So we need to define an IP address from where we are collecting the data. So that IP address, if we put into that, from that we can be able to collect the data to the SIM tool. That's how it happens. So we collect the data from multiple sources. So there are the different type of process are there while we are collecting those data here. So we collect the data here. Then we'll do the correlations here. Correlations are nothing but, as we know that it is apply the certain conditions, the certain conditions in order to collect those data. And aggregation. If I talk about the aggregation, I would like to take you to this example here. Now, guys, this brute force attack happens. 5 event is occurs, right? For from the same sources within 2 minutes, and it will be considered as a brute force attack. Now, 5 event happens. So, how many activities has happened with this 5 event? What would be the activities? How many activities happen?
5,
Five or one? Event or five? Activity?
One.
1.
Brute force attack, right? The same
Yeah.
activity, na, he's trying to like in the 5 event, it's not like a different activities happens, correct or not? Five
Correct.
event, 5 event is targeted to steal or get an access to the particular machines, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
The main purpose of these 5 event is the login failure. Means like the attacker was attempting to get login. The same activities is done 5 times, right?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes, the
So
same event 5 times.
yes, same event 5 times. It's called as a aggregation. What we call aggregation. Are you got my point, guys? Everybody, like the event count will be the same. Like event count will be a different, but the activity will be the same here. It can be the 5, 10, 12, 15, 20, 100, whatever it may be. The event counts are like the different for the same activities. So this is how where we have the process called as aggregations here. Is it clear, everybody? You got my point?
Yes.
Okay. Now comes to the normalization. Now, what do you mean by the normalization? As we have seen that the normalizations are nothing but We are collecting the data from multiple sources, right? It can be the Windows machines, it can be the Linux machines, it can be Mac machines, it can be the printers, it can be the firewalls, it can be the routers, and so on. So we are collecting the data from multiple assets that is into the raw data. Okay. Every asset have their own syntax of creating logs. It's like Windows logs are different, Linux logs are different, Mac logs are different, applications logs are different, cloud systems logs are different, on-premises logs are different. So every asset have their own syntax of creating like logs based on the activities happens on those devices. So what type of activities happens to that particular device? Based on that, the standards they have it. On that standard, the events or logs will be created. Now, these events or logs, when it's created, all these raw data is sent into the SIEM. Either it can be the Windows machine, either it can be the Linux machines, either it can be like the network devices, whatever it may be. So once we collect this data, SIEM apply the normalization. Means like it's make it standard and more easy to understandable. Either the data is coming from multiple sources, we can be able to detect what exactly we are going to monitor in that log. So those how the normalizations can be done here. Okay. Is that clear, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. It make a very standard format that we can be able to read how does this information work. Now come, there is another thing called as a retention. What do you mean by the retention? Retention is nothing but a storing. Like how long the data can be get stored. That's a very important concept. So in the same, we are storing the logs for like analysis. It can be for 1 year, it can be for 6 months. All it depends upon like the compliance and policy. So retention storage time, which is very important to be predefined. How long data can be get stored in the same place. So that need to be get noted. Analysis, I'm sorry. Analysis and workflow. Analysis and workflows are nothing but like how we going to analyze the different type of events when it is happens and how we going to follow if any incident happens to them. So the different system has been approached here. This is how the some of the technology that is there integrated with the SIM tool. So we need the SIM to be moved being in a reactive, being to be a proactive terms of security approach. So it's always proactive approach we can see that at the SIM here. Now, if I'll say that there are the several tools I just said you right. It can be like ArcSight, IBM Curator, McAfee, Splunk, Azure Sentinel, and there are many more, right? There are the several other SIM tools might be there where they're performing the certain type of task and activity. Now, if I'll talk about it, as we have seen that SIM is implemented by the software and system and appliance. So some of the combination of these items which give us the more importance here. Now, when I say the retention, dashboards, correlations, alerting, data aggregations, and compliance. What do you mean by about this? What do you mean by this?
So we have to set a sim for implementation to start from retention, and we have to design a dashboard, correlation, how to alert,
Mhm.
and so on.
Yes. See, the first thing is that whenever we are talking about it, like the SIM is implemented the different method, right? It is with the hardware, software, and there are the many methods are there. So when I talk about the dashboard, the- dashboards are very important here. Now, why the dashboard is important to visualize interface, to see the real-time monitoring and analyze the multiple systems where we can have it. So based on these dashboard, we get a different type of alerts here. That is the correlations. Based on the correlations, right? Correlations are nothing but is analyze the log data, identify the pattern, like what type of activities is happens in linked and events. Like example, the fail login happens, right? So login
Yeah.
fail login is happens is linked with it, and it form and conditions, and that condition says that the alert name something like a brute force attack or some other activities we can see. That is we call it the correlations here. Now, the similar way, if I talk about the data, like aggregation. as we can see that we are collecting the logs from multiple sources. It can be the firewalls, it can be the servers, it can be the endpoints, it can be anything that is getting into the central platforms when we have it. So it's make it more understandable. It's combining those data which are the similar event and giving us event count. That is we call as an aggregation. And if I talk about the compliance, that also help us to meet the regularities requirement that can be related to the GDPR, PCI DSS, or it can be through the different reporting systems. That's how it's going to be work. So means like whenever we are discussing about this process here, so correlations, alerting, dashboard, compliance, all these are very important here, right? Where we can see that. So every SIEM tool have it that one. So if I can see that, if I say to monitor anything, let's take an example. This is my one of the SIEM tool like a Splunk here. This is a Splunk is a SIEM tool. Let's consider. So what we are doing it here. So guys, here we can see that, right? What are the block connections? What are the allow connections? What are the teardown connections? What are the external source IP, external destination IP, right? Are you able to see this, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So this is the one of the some of the dashboards we can see that. So this is another thing with the dashboards which can be created here. It depends upon it. It's not mandatory, like, what are the fields are there here. It all depends upon our process. What is the important fields? We need to keep on monitor everything. So we can monitor, we can create those type of dashboards and can make it on your screen. So it's all about like, how you actively providing the security for an organization. So that's how the dashboards can be done. So overall, we can see that retention, storing the data, dashboard creating and visualizing correlations, like combining the data together to form the conditions. Alert is sending us notifications if any alert is happens to that, right? We have discussed that in a very detail about it. Data aggregations, they gather the data from number of sites, like that includes servers, network, database, software, or it can be any kind of email systems and so on. So aggregators also serve as a consolidating all the resources before the data sent to be a correlated or retained here. So before it is going to the storage or correlating, this is combined together and says that these events are belong to the same activities. And compliance is the protocols in the SIEM that can establish and that automatically collect the data necessary for the compliance purpose. The companies, organizations, or it can be a government policies need to be get have it. Is that so clear, everybody here?
Can you put your screen downward? Let me just see the other parts. No, downward. Yeah.
Retention, as we can see that we have already discussed that the data, how long it can be get stored. It depends upon the compliance, it depends upon the policies, or it depends upon the organization set limit about the storing the data. That comes on the retention. Dashboards that is used to visualize the data. Like, we can see the different type of logs we are collecting, right? Different type of activities we need to like, detect so we can create that can fit in the normal pattern and can understand what is happening. Correlations that pack it into the meaningful, it's similar like, if it is a common thread, so goal to turn the data into the useful information, generating alert whenever the event is happening. So it means like correlating the several type of events. So when I talk about like alerting, so when we gather the information, we identify something such as like, security incident or certain triggered as a potential security problem. So SIM tool can activate certain protocol to alert and like send the notification to the SIM dashboard, or it can be automated email, XMS, whatever. Like, whenever we write in conditions, we'll see that, but it might may send those conditions. Got it? Is there any doubt, anyone?
No doubt. But what I just want to find out, the SIMS application means with all the qualities and all the advantages, that we can see from your teaching this morning shows that is a key application any company must have for the
Exactly, exactly.
security experts to
Yes,
actually do the right thing and monitor effectively any suspected attack or events or alerts.
yes,
So companies
exactly.
must have this application to make the job easier and also simpler.
Yeah. See, this is one of the operations where we have seen, okay, about when it is comes to security implementations as a SIM tool for the monitoring. But see, if we want to see the 360-degree security, if we need to protect any organizations with all type of assets, especially if I talk about the financial institute or some other like. So there are the several parameters are there, several requirements are there. That comes into the access controls. That comes into what type of the data are there, what type of the team should be get involved, or what are the teams should only be get unauthorized to get an access to those data. So when the team is getting access to that data, so that data is on premises or that data is based on the cloud. So if it is the data is there on the premises, what type of tracking system we have it, what type of the access system we are given. So if they have an access, so is that the access, what level of access they have it? Is that they can copy the data? Either they can do the analysis of those data, what type of activity they perform when they got an access, right? So those are the
Yeah.
things are there. Then we have how the team are frequently, what are the frequency the data is getting backup, like where the data is getting stored. That's an important. Then we comes about how we are going to find out the penetration testing, how we going to find out the vulnerability assessment. So what are the time period is designed in order to find out the different asset lists, what type of the vulnerabilities are there, and how those vulnerabilities are going to be get an effect to the organizations. So they have the certain type of scoring systems, we call as a common vulnerability scoring system. So based on that, the patch management team should be there. So how are we going to monitor those things? What are the patch management team is working? So there are the different parameters are there. If we go into the deep dive of the security, how the SOC matrix are there. SOC matrix again very important. Let's say if we have been taking care of the SOC monitoring for 6 months, for 1 year, so every quarterly we have to see that the first 3 months, how many alerts we got it. So based on the organization standard, they may analyze that. So first 3 months, how many alerts we got it? Is that the alert ratio? Suppose January to March, we got some around 300 alerts. Imagine the situation. So now April to June, how many alerts we got it? Is that the alert ratio increase or decrease? It was the 300 alerts we have received mm, January to the March, then April to June, we have received 150 or we received 200 or it reaches to 400. You got my point? So that's how
Yep.
the risk management can be get measured. The SWOT matrix will be there, and then it works on different areas where we have to understand inside when we are seeing that what are things is happens, how the activities are there. If alert happens, which most of the alerts happen. So out of the 300 alerts in the month January to March, most of it was critical. But in the month of June to July, April to June, in that test, we don't have any critical, we don't have any medium. It was all low alerts we got it. So things like that will measure how the performance is going on and what are the time things are there, what we need to do it, what type of awareness training need to be created for the users which are there for the clients, or it can be the internal team like finance team, sales team, marketing team, and so on. What type of activities they perform, what type of the guidance we need to do. There are many areas where we have to discuss in order to design a better security for our organization. See, just implementing the SOC operations and keeping it live, I believe you got my point. It's not a complete solution for security, correct? You got it, my point. Okay,
Yep.
Yeah.
right? So there are the many things are there. Yes, you have taken right. SIEM is a very important concept. SIEM is very important implementation process in terms of security. But as a security expert, now we got it. Many things are required. It's not just implementing a SOC operations, correct? Got it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Ajmal, Rayas, Arfat, everyone. Is that so clear?
Yeah.
Yes, bro.
Gokul, is it clear?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So those are the things that are where we see that whenever we are implementing compliance policies and all. So there are the different type of levels are there, right? The level 1, level 2, level 3. It all depends upon your expertise. It depends upon your experience, like how experienced you are while been working. We have a tier 1 as a security analyst, tier 2, that will be considered as a shift leader, or that may be considered as a senior analyst, which just not only find out the alert, but also they find out some root cause. They also find out some recommendations. What are the recommendations can be there? What are the recommended process can be there for the mitigation? What type of actions and what are the recommendations should be done here. So that is means if it is uh, what type of updates they required, what type of technology need to be get upgrade, what type of hardened password resets, or it can be the multi-factor authentications are required, and so on. That's all the suggestions can also be done by an senior team. And if I talk about tier 3, these are the region analysts who perform high order of analysis, quality assurance with respect to the activity performed by the tier 1 and tier 2 means level 1, level 2 team. They do including hunting, different type of threat hunting, different type of root cause, creating different type of SOPs, standard operating procedures, like how are we going to handle those things. So there are the different way we going to discuss all this in detail. What type of activities happens, what type of the threat detections method can be done, how they going to do the investigation, if any threat it is happens. We'll see their rules and responsibility in detail in coming session. I believe till here is clear to everybody, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for today's session, guys. So I would like to tell you that is one minute. May I take some sessions before I start practical? Maybe a 4 days or 5 days. I need to get you a more detail about this concept, and then we'll start the practice. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
welcome.
bro. Thank you.
And these materials I'm going to share you on WhatsApp. I believe everyone there on WhatsApp, right? Aya, Zarfad, okay,
Yes,
Gokul, Nasir.
yes.
Yes.
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
Arfad, you're not there on WhatsApp?
No, no, no.
Yes,
I'm on WhatsApp.
No, no, I mean on the WhatsApp group.
Yes,
What
yes.
you're there, right? In the WhatsApp group, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Somebody said who's not there on the WhatsApp group.
No, I think someone said we haven't received the materials yet.
No, no, no. I have not said the material, but I'm saying you guys are all there in the WhatsApp group, right? All
Yes.
7 members,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Perfect.
yes.
yes.
Chalo, theek hai, thanks. I'll be sure. All right. Take care. Bye, everybody. Good night. See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.